Hello there, and welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. We are back with you here this week. Slight schedule change. We're going one more week to revisit One Way Out. We're going to do the Andor Season 2 preview this week. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Phillips, with you as always, and as always, you hear narration every single week. Pete Consadori is here. Pete, how are you?
Doing great. Excited to talk about Andor season 2. Excited to see what you guys think. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, but we're almost there. So I'm very, very excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yep. Also here with us today, I'm going to say, also, Pete, I forgot to ask you, how was it keeping Luthen shop last, like couple weeks ago?
It was okay. It was a little dusty. Had to dust a lot and it doesn't really keep up the place. So I did the liberty of making sure it's all nice for, it to be probably destroyed at some point.
Yep. Also here with us today, one of the top customers at Luthen Shop, Nick Fraietta is here. Nick, how are you?
Very, very good. Very excited to discuss this. I was thinking before we came on that of all the shows we've covered, all the movies and whatnot, I think I'm most excited for this than I was about anything else. Maybe Mando season three before it started, I was more excited for, but I don't think so. I think this is the number one thing I'm excited for, so can't wait.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun here. The long anticipated Andor season 2 preview podcast will be coming out here. So people want to subscribe to Sky Guys, they can do this on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys for your podcast platform. Follow us there. And Justin the Suffering Friends, hello, we're back. So it's not going to be very long because it's only a month long season now. So just you want to be locked in if after you like what we're doing after the season's over.
Gotta be locked in, gotta be subscribed. Make sure you're over and subscribed to the new YouTube channel at Sky Guys. Sky Guys Podcast or Sky Guys?
Like on YouTube, it's a Sky Guys
YouTube.
podcast.
All right, that's what I think. I always get confused. But yeah, make sure you're checking that out because we're going to be exclusively for YouTube on that channel. Everything else is going to be the same when it comes to the audio version. So make sure you're subscribed to the new channel.
Yep. And Nick, people have followed social media. How can I do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast, pretty much anywhere. And if you want to email us, it's at skyguyspod@gmail.com.
Yes, and if you send in your emails during the season, we will read them. Like we'll read your comments on the podcast if we get them in time for record the various episode arc recaps. So if you want to get your comments in there, feel free to do so. And we'll check out our social media comment of the week. This is from TikTok. This is about the news we got. Are getting more Star Wars animation. I don't think this is the. I don't think they anticipated what we were going to get when we turned on day of record, but this is a conversation we had 2 weeks ago when Pete was keeping an eye on the shop and recovery of Nick was with us here. Star Wars Clips 35 said, "Bro, the clones is where it's at. If anything, we need more." So he disagreed with my take, Pete, that I said that please no more clones on the next anime project. We need a break from clones. So where do you stand on this?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think I stand with the whole let's get away from this timeline thing in general. Um, I think clones are cool. I'm not going to diminish that, and I think that anything with the clones that's done right is going to be a cool storyline. But I agree with you. I think we need to move on and get some original content and be a little risky with it. With a good story, I feel like you can go very far with it, even if it's not clones or something we already know. So I'm in your camp.
Yeah, and Nick, for the Sky Operators in your campus, I want to see a continuation of the solo story.
I would love that. I don't think we would get that in animation. I mean, I don't think we would get that at all, but I don't think we get that in animation. But to the other comment, the main comment, yes, the clones are awesome. Everyone agrees with that, but we definitely don't need more clones. Been even Rebels, there are clones all over the place. Like it's enough.
Like, make us miss the clones before you
Right. There's pretty much, if you think about it, Clone Wars lasted, it overlapped with Rebels technically, right?
yeah. Basically went from 2008 to 2020, like straight.
Right. And
Like,
there was like maybe 1 year in the middle where there was nothing, right? And then Bad Batch started pretty much right away.
yeah, so it started like 2020,
So we've had clones pretty much nonstop since 2002.
yeah, for much like almost over 20 years.
Yeah, there's maybe been a year in the middle or maybe 2 years total where we haven't had clones, but come on. It's been 23 years of clones.
They can take a break.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get some Star Wars news here. And a lot popped up since we put out our re-release of the Rogue One coverage last week, and Nick has got here to catch us all up on it.
Yeah, so The Mandalorian and Grogu, that movie's sneakily coming up. It's about a year away, a little bit
Yep.
more. That movie reportedly has a production budget of 166 million, which was the smallest budget of any Disney Star Wars movie. Now, to recap, that is the sequel trilogy, Rogue One, Solo, nothing else, right?
Yeah, Rogue One and Solo, I think are a little skewed because they had extensive reshoots at the end there. So
Yeah, but those are the five, right? There's
I mean,
no
those are the five.
other like random movie that doesn't
Yeah,
ring the bell in my head for some reason.
yep, that's it. You got the list.
So this is the smallest budget of them all. I would imagine the second smallest was probably Rogue One,
Yeah.
because I know Solo had a large budget.
So,
It's surprising to be honest. Maybe they're saving a lot of money not paying Pedro Pascal a lot because he's just coming on and doing voices.
yeah.
I don't know. What do you make of this?
P, any thoughts on this?
Um, I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a lot of on location shooting, so you can not worry about a lot of CGI when it comes to your environment as well. That may be saving some money. Um, First thing that comes to mind is Andor. I feel like Andor has a lot of on location shooting versus and sets versus the CGI. So there might be a lot of that. To Nick's point, I think I agree. Having him on a like a voiceover retainer versus or whatever it is, I shouldn't say retainer, like I know what the contract is, but have a voiceover pay versus an on-screen pay is probably a lot less. So that could be saving the money as well.
I think it's definitely more a lot of volume stuff because it's cheaper to just use the volume, make your background CGI as opposed to renting the location, doing the scouting, having the like all the background actors in there. I think also, Nick, in terms of budget, this may not be a bad thing because in movie parlance, like it's easier for them to break even slash turn a profit on this movie because you're figuring like 160, you figure what, Pete, like 40 to 50, like 80 to for marketing.
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't know. I don't
Yes.
know how much that costs.
Yeah, so like let's say they spend 80 million on marketing. Like you're asking this movie to make 240 million dollars oh like and you consider it a win for Disney. I think that's the bar being lower, I think is helpful for their chance of making future movies.
I would agree with that.
Let's see. Let's see how this one turns out.
Yep.
The next piece of news is that George Lucas himself will present a screening of The Empire Strikes Back at the TCM Classic Film Festival on April 24th, which is a couple days after the release of Andor's first episodes.
Yeah, nice for George to pop up.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Clive Revel, who is the original actor in Emperor Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back, he passed away at 94 years old.
Yeah.
It always blows my mind when they get, obviously rest in peace, very sad. Um, Another original trilogy actor gone, but it blows my mind when you have a lot of these actors who, when you see them as kids, you just assume they were really old back then, and then
Yeah.
you find out, oh, he wasn't. He was like for example, the Emperor back then,
Yeah.
Ian McDermott is how old now?
He's probably like
You know
80
what I
now.
mean? He's like 80 now when he looked 80 then. You know what I mean? I mean, there's the makeup, but
Yeah, great makeup work.
yeah, it's just I always thought as a kid, I was like, wait, that's the same actor? Like when I saw the prequel, like, no way.
Yeah.
So very good job with the makeup there. Obviously, very sad too. The next piece of news: Ahsoka season 2 started filming.
Cool.
Yeah, I find that cool. I feel like that's pretty quick, right? Like turnaround, or am I don't really know my timelines that well.
Well, I mean, considering there was a writer's strike in there, this is not bad. And I know Filoni also had to work on the Mandalorian and Grogu movies. I think this is right about when they should be doing this.
The reason I ask is it's a little silly, but am I? I know it has nothing to do with Star Wars, but like they're doing this whole thing with the Avengers coming out soon, right? And they
Yeah.
did this whole like with the cast and all that. Are they just starting the production now?
I think they're actually doing filming now. I think they were doing
The
pre-production.
movie comes out in like a year, doesn't it?
Oh, the event. Like, oh yeah,
There's an Avenger movie before Doomsday.
no, that Doomsday's the first one.
This is the
I
first
thought
one. Secret
I,
War is the second one.
I
I
think
thought
they
it was
actually
the other
are.
way around.
I think they are starting now because they probably have like very limited window to get these people in the building. So
But I guess my question is that like soon?
that's a little soon. I will say that.
Because all right. I don't really know my timelines that well, but
because I mean,
as of right now, Doomsday comes out on May 1st of next year.
just think about it. At this point, the movie,
Wait a second.
yeah,
Doomsday comes out on May 1st.
yeah.
They're putting this Mando movie out 3 weeks later?
I'd say, well, Disney's in charge of this.
I know. And they were also in charge when they put Solo against Infinity War.
Yeah,
What are they
possibly.
doing?
Yeah, they're probably gonna. I think they're gonna end up flipping these. To be honest with you.
You mean flipping the release dates?
Yes, I think they might put this one first, and then consider because this you move it up, you could put it closer to like May the 4th. Have that be the big May the 4th thing next year.
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea. I do remember when Infinity War came out, or maybe no, it wasn't Infinity War. It was
It was
Endgame.
Infinity War and Solo.
No, I know, but I remember when Endgame came out, they pushed it up a week
Yes.
towards the kind of towards the end there,
Yeah. I
which
th
was interesting. I had never seen that before.
I think you want both these to work. I think you try and put Avengers Infinity War closer to the summer, Avengers Doomsday closer to the summer, and put the Finish movie closer to Star Wars Day, make it a big event. Like, hey, Star Wars is back on Star Wars Day.
I agree with you. Hopefully they do that. I can't believe we're running into the same thing we ran into with Solo already.
Yeah.
There's only been like four Avengers movies, and they all happen to come in over the last 20 years, and they all happen to come out at the same time as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, next piece of news is Disney out of nowhere announced that the new season of the Tales franchise is coming. Tales of the Underworld,
Okay.
dropping on May 4th all at once. That's a Sunday, FYI.
Yes.
Sunday, May 4th, and it will focus on Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress. I'm assuming this timeline is going to be the our favorite between episode 3 and episode 4.
Well, I mean, there was like I watched the trailer. There were definitely points that looked like young Cad Bane was in there. So it might get like sort of the Ahsoka
Yeah.
moment where you get like a little okay childhood, like around the time we're used to in Clone Wars, and then something we haven't seen before. So
Yeah, because we know that, I mean, with Ventress, it's just very clear we're going to pick up her story after Bad Batch, or at least the majority of her arc. You might get some background on her too. But I think with Cad Bane, we also might get some background on him, which it looks like we're going to. But there's a big empty space between Bad Batch and Boba Fett
yeah,
for him.
I think there's two things I'm very curious to see if they touch in these shorts, Pete, which is on the Cad Bane side, we knew they had a story arc where he and Boba Fett have a falling out, and Boba Fett basically gets the dent on his helmet from a duel with Cad Bane. So you wonder if you get that here in short form. And then with Ventress, you wonder if they retcon the Dark Disciple book a little bit and sort of explain how she survived that situation.
Probably. I think those are two very good predictions to make. I think we're gonna figure out why Cad Bane's got the tubes going to his cheeks.
Yeah.
We see him without that kind of hardware, so maybe we get that, maybe we don't. But I do think the dent in the helmet fight is I don't want to say it's obvious, but I feel like that's the one you got to do, right? I mean, if you're going to show anything, that's a backstory or a short, you got to show that. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's a good prediction.
Yeah, Nick, the Ventress thing is right there. I know they left you hanging in Bad Batch saying, how'd she come back? This is a perfect way for them to answer it.
Right. It'll be good. And last, not lastly, actually, we have another thing here.
Yeah.
Well, Diego Luna said that he wants fans to rewatch Rogue One after finishing season 2. He had a long quote. I'm not going to read the whole quote, but to put it short, to trim it down, he basically said you got to watch as soon as it's over. You have more information than you did prior. You knew nothing about these rebels before, and now you know their sacrifice and a lot of things that were answered in the show that about questions you may have had in Rogue One, and um, yeah, you know who this man is now. This is what he meant by everything he said and did. So go back and rewatch it, and it's gonna really mean a lot more.
I wish he had told us this before we re-released our coverage of Rogue One, because now it feels odd if we try and do that again, because might have to wait little bit on that rewatch.
I mean, I probably will do that.
I mean, for us on the podcast.
Not the same day, but I probably will rewatch it, and it's similar to what I do with whenever I'm done with Rogue One, which I mean, it's not like I watch it weekly or something, but I do watch it. I've watched it a few times, but whenever I finish it, I want to watch A New Hope right away.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming we're going to get something very similar to that with the ending of this show. We discussed that already
Yep.
on here. So, and the last piece of news is they announced they released a second Andor trailer.
Yes, the final trailer,
When did that trailer? I mean, I saw it. I don't remember how long ago that
9 days
was.
ago.
9 days ago. So
9 days
well,
ago, time of recording. So
end of March.
March 24th.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yep. Sounds about right. It was right when we dropped our Luthen and Mon Mothma episode.
Okay.
So, Nick, what did you think about the trailer?
I thought it was great. A lot of actions, right to the point. Nothing really stuck out to me. Just looked really cool, and I feel like we know where we're headed this season. This didn't really add any new information for me. There's definitely Easter eggs in the background that I didn't catch, but the trailer to me just seemed like we're ready to do it. Like I don't know how else to explain it. It's cool to see K2SO push someone. That's the only thing I really got out of it.
You call that a push? That was more like a fling.
Yeah, fling.
All right. And Pete, I'll also throw out here. I know there's a lot of discussion on the internet about the scene at the end where like Dedra's like gripping her collar, where people have been speculating on the internet. This is Vader force joking her. Like, I don't I disagree. I feel like this is not something this show will just do willy-nilly. This to me feels like sort of like a I'm having a panic attack kind of move for Dedra in terms of like the walls caving in with like something she has going on.
Yeah, I mean, I have my thoughts about that character. I mean, we talked about it, and we'll get more probably to that to the end. But I don't think it'd be that crazy to see Darth Vader choking someone
Yeah.
in this show. I think the trailer, like, I feel like this should have been trailer one. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like trailer two should have been the first one where it's like all the action packed, all the stuff. And I understand maybe why they did that as the first one, try to grab the attention of the viewer. But the second one to me was not underwhelming, but it was like, okay, I like the first one better. I already know there's going to be a ton of action and stuff. This is not really showing me anything new. So if they would have flip-flopped it, I think it would have been a little bit more impactful for me.
Okay. And out of the news, you ready to go right to the preview here?
That's it. Thought
All
there was
right.
something else. Sorry, that is it.
Yeah, there was a lot to catch up on here, but now we get to season two of Andor here. We talked about this. We talked our biggest characters here. We know that each arc we're getting each week is going to be a year in the Rogue One timeline. And we're not only up to Rogue One, and we have, different characters that pop in and out. We're going to see Cassian going through different points in time. I believe, Nick, I heard that was basically like each arc covers like a few days. Am I wrong on that?
I did not hear anything like that, so you might be right. I'm not sure.
I believe I saw somewhere that it's going to be each arc covers a few days in the year, like a couple, like the big event of the year, basically, is what we're talking about here. So, what are you expecting out of season two?
I what am I expecting out of season two? I'm expecting to do exactly what Diego Luna said.
Yeah,
I'm expecting to set me up from where we ended season one with the whole riot in the streets to ending season two prepared for Rogue One.
yeah,
That's what I'm expecting. And how are we going to get there? I'm expecting a Gorman massacre that's apparently 7 episodes long or whatever you said it was. But I'm expecting to see the growth of the rebellion from within. I think we discussed it, excuse me, before that. I think we discussed this before that we don't know in the timeline exactly where we were in season one, but we kind of figured it out where the rebellion wasn't really the rebellion yet. It was just rebel cells.
yep,
And I think in season two, we're going to see the growth of the rebellion, very similar to what we saw in Rebels, but I guess a different perspective.
yeah,
We're going to see the unification of the rebel cells to create the alliance to restore the Republic, which is the official name of the rebels.
yeah. So, Pete, any thoughts you want to start with?
Um, I think season two is going to be exactly what Nick said. I think it's going to come to a point of calmness by the end because I feel like Rogue One starts off pretty quote unquote calm. The reason why I say calm is because I feel like there's no active like war happening. There's like obviously rebellion, but it's not like you're boom right into the action. So I think Diego's right. I think it's going to give us much more appreciation, but I do think we're going to get it to a point where like the last episode of the season is like we have a plan for the rebellion. We just did something major. We're on the right track. And then they just kind of hit this lull. So that's kind of what I'm expecting out of it.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm watching for, I know that like they said in the past, Tony Gilroy said like this epic series could take you right up to the point where Cassie shows up in Rogue One, like right where he's about to get on the ship and meet the contact he ends up killing in Rogue One. So I think it'll be interesting to see like how we get there. And I think the big challenge this show has is like in addition to like we know the Gorman massacre is be a big thing. We know that they have all these canon events that they can pull from if they want to. But like I feel like where the balance is being like, what do we want to do? Like in terms of like, here's an established thing in the canon we can expand on. Do we want to put something new in and retcon something that exists? We have all the rebel stuff going on in the background of the show. So like interesting like stuff to sort of balance all of that.
I also think that if you remember the conversation that Cassian actually had with that guy
Yeah.
on the I don't know what it was called, the moon, whatever.
We're at that marketplace they met up at.
Yeah, so at the beginning of Rogue One, when he talks to that guy, he's basically trying to get information on him about a super weapon.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't know it's a super weapon, and he just knows they're building something, I think, at that point. And you see in the trailer they mention how they're building something like a super weapon, and you see the Death Star in the background. So that's going to be something in there where
They find out.
they know something. Yeah, he doesn't find out what it is, but he finds out they're building something, and that's what, leads him to go seek this guy out because he might know, right?
Yeah, they get tipped off some
So
there's some
definitely, yeah, we're definitely going to see that, like the news. If you remember, throughout all of this, that we call it the magical timeline between 3 and 4 in Star Wars, where it seems like every single story has taken place in the last 10 years.
yeah.
In that magical timeline, there, the Empire is doing their best to keep the Death Star a secret, as they should, because if the common folk found out about that, they'd lose all faith in the Empire and they would make their voices heard in the Senate. Now, eventually, the Senate gets, dissolved, so that doesn't matter. But at this point in time, it's not dissolved, so they have to do their best to keep it a secret. So this is a big deal that it gets out.
Yeah. I'll also say here, Pete, that in terms of the Death Star stuff, there's a great line in the second trailer where like Mon Mothma basically has this whole speech where she's like, like they're gonna come for all of us. Like just because you think you're safe now doesn't mean you're safe forever. So like, I wonder if that's sort of like a precursor to like them finding out about the Death Star, or at least that there's some sort of super weapon the Empire's building.
Yeah, I think it may come after the massacre,
Yeah,
that scene. She
yeah,
seems very distraught, very, very upset. I don't know the canon of that. I don't know if something involves her daughter or anything like that, but I think that she is finally like, enough's enough. I'm going to go to the Senate. I don't care what happens to me. And I agree with you. I think that's what starts this motion of they kind of had that intel. I'm coming after you, and now we're going to bring it to the surface. But I do think that scene comes later in the season.
yeah. I also think, Nick, I think one of the interesting things here is that like this show is going on at the same time as the Rebels stuff, and we know Rebels sort of had their own beats they stuck to with the Laval stuff, but like season three, especially, they're sort of, like going around doing missions. They have their own squadron. We see Wedge there. We see them helping out in different causes. Like, I didn't think to see like how they weave this in with what we already established from Rebels. I know that obviously, like if they want to retcon, they'll retcon. But I think it's interesting considering like you already have like a similar storyline in an animated show happening in the background of what's going on in the main show here.
Yeah, it's really cool actually because I don't know. I was actually thinking it has nothing to do with Star Wars, but I was thinking about this yesterday. I love when I see a show or a movie or a game, whatever it may be, any source of media where it's an established story and we see it from another point of view. I
Yeah.
love that. Like when you play a game and there's a DLC and it's like the same game but from someone else's point of view. I love that so much. I love seeing that in movies and in shows. Like so, kind of what this whole season is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of what all of Star Wars is. If you think about it, because we know the story. Unless it's something that's taking place later, we know what's going to happen. So it's just someone else's point of view, getting more information. I really enjoy that in media.
Yeah. My main thing, P, is thinking of like the whole point, specifically of Mon Mothma, where like at one point, like she's picked up by the Rebels crew and like she's on the Ghost, and then she does this whole speech that sort of like is amplified as like a rallying call for rebellion. So like you wonder if it's something that we're gonna see another spin on in this show, or do we sort of, like just say if you want to see what happened there, just watch Rebels, or like she can maybe she'll mention it offhand, like I did this and speech like 3 weeks ago.
I feel like we're gonna see it. I feel like they're not gonna go through all that trouble for it to be like we're only gonna give you a snippet and you kind of have to go watch our other media. Um, so I think we'll see the main purpose of that for sure.
Yeah. Any other storylines, Nick, do you think that we might pop up here, whether it's from Rebels or from canon, that might get referenced in the show? We know, like, besides the Goring Mask, which they already told us is going to be a big thing.
No, I can't really think of anything that would be. No.
All right, you want to go on to the character beat here because we did get some more of these characters popping up in the trailer here, Pete. We saw Vel like in the background there. We saw the Brasso and Bix and Nurchi are hanging out on like it looked like Lothal or some Lothal like planet before like stormtroopers track them down, and like we saw some of the supporting cast we didn't talk about in these character pods. So just see where some of these characters end up popping up.
Yeah, I mean it was interesting to get more characters. I mean, I think we kind of knew we were going to get a lot of these characters, even though we didn't see them in the first trailer. But I'm curious to see at what capacity, right? We're going to be jumping from timeline to timeline in theory, right, every year. So I'm curious to see if they're going to have major parts in it, or if it's going to be, we see a couple of characters for just the one event in the one year, and then we don't see them again for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Nick. I think the other challenge that this character thing is like they built so many good characters in season one that we want to check in, like, oh, like what is Brasso up to? Like what is Vel and her crew up to? And like but you also are gonna have like not only like the legacy characters they bring in, but also I'm sure they're gonna make some new characters who like help advance the storyline. So it's a very big like cast already. You're gonna be a lot of balancing where like maybe some people do not get as much screen time as they thought they would.
Oh, for sure. I don't think we're gonna get. Yeah, I can't think of someone off the top of my head who's not gonna get as much, but 100%. There's gonna be someone out there, or a few people out there, who just get the short end of the stick and they're barely in it.
Yeah. I feel like Vel and Cinta might be fall in that trap a little bit.
I'm leaning towards that as well.
And I feel like the Brasso side of it might get a little short shrifted. Whereas,
I wanted to say that, but I keep seeing the trailers and Brasso and Bix keep showing up in different locations too. So I'm starting to think that it's not just one. It could just be they go somewhere else in the middle of an episode, but I'm starting to think that it's going to be more than once because of the different locations.
yeah, it's easy here. So, P, how would you think they're going to handle this balance in these characters and sort of like where they sprinkle in the legacy characters and where we get these new characters and the existing ones that we all to know and love back in the fall of 22?
Um, I think it's going to be tough. I really don't know exactly how they're going to do it. If I were to guess, I think they're just going to be there and they're going to be directly injected into the storyline. I don't think there's going to be any setup. I don't think you have time for really setup to see what they've been doing. I think it's going to be someone's doing a mission, it's them, or someone's doing a mission and another character shows up that we know, and it's just seamlessly they're in it. I feel like that's the only way they can do it to allow the storyline to continue to flow nicely. And also it kind of forces you to watch season one in a way, right? If you don't know who these characters are, if you're just seeing all the hype for season two, it's like crucial now you watch season one because not only the storyline is important, but the characters as well when you meet them.
Yeah. And Nick, I know like Marvel a few weeks ago did a big like publicity stunt with the director's chairs for the cast. Imagine if Andor did this. We could do a whole long tracking shot of actors who are in this season and like get people excited that way.
It could. Um, yeah, I mean, that'd be really cool. I feel like it would work better if it was characters, but
Like, would you be ready if they put the Peter Cushing chair there was AI Peter Cushing sitting in the chair?
it would be cool though if they did like the characters and you saw a Darth Vader chair.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. So you were ready to go on to talk about the trackers that we have for the season and whether we need to add one more.
Yeah, let's discuss the trackers. So we're gonna look at the ones we had in season one.
Yeah, and then I think we need to add at least one more, and then we can discuss specifically if we need anything else here. So the trackers we had in season one. So I have for our purposes for I will be doing it on the screen when we do them in the season, but for our purposes, we have a separate document on Google where I'll kept track of everything here. So here's where we were in trackers wise. We did Hondo tracker. We do that for every show he could possibly be in.
I'm not counting on that one, but
Yeah.
gotta keep.
If he ever showed up in this show, this would be like downright hilarious.
If he shows up here and not in Skeleton Crew, which he should have, but he didn't, I don't know what to believe anymore. I mean, the close I think we got what we're gonna get from him, his ship being in Skeleton Crew, but
Yeah, we have animated cameos. We only had two in season one.
which were who?
We saw Guerrero twice.
Oh, he counted twice. Okay.
Yeah. We had 9 live action cameos, which were split between Yularen, Yularen and Melshi got most of them, and then there was 2 tubes and a couple of like Sauce partisans. We visited 9 planets. There were no classic lines, and Andor killed 11 people. That was our trackers for season one. So my initial thought for season two is I think we need a death tracker. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed in this season.
Yeah, but we got to be careful with that.
I think
But
name characters.
yeah, then I completely agree.
It's like
Because if you're doing,
we're not counting all people who died
Yeah,
in the massacre.
yeah, there you go. But I'm with you.
Yeah, because I think like if we like if it's like like let's say like for instance like Brasso is on Gorn and gets killed on Gorn, we count Brasso, not all like 6 million other people were there.
Right, exactly. I am with you.
All right, so do you want to add any other tracker besides the death tracker? Anything stick out to you guys?
Should we put the chopper kill count in there just in case he shows up and does something?
We could do that.
The rebellion could happen.
And I feel, and we've established that he is very tied to this timeline. And
So just put him in the back pocket. Like if he doesn't show up in the show, don't even mention it. But if he does show up, we just
Yeah.
pull it out and start tracking it.
I put it on the list. So like I will mention it in the first arc, and if it doesn't show up again, it doesn't show up again. So, and we do know that Mon Mothma meets Chopper at one point in the Rebels timeline.
That's right.
All right. So think of anything else.
No.
All right. So I think we should also on the death front. I think we should do a death draft where we pick the characters who are most likely to die. So I think that would be where it's our call our shot here for the season premieres, Nick. I think we should put this on the record. We should pick 2 people who we think will not make it out of the season.
Sure.
All right, so I'll give you the floor, Nick. You can pick first here.
Someone who's gonna die.
Somebody who's gonna die.
And I'll take Luthen.
That's the chalk pick.
Yeah.
Pete, who are you feeling?
I think Karn.
Saying Karn,
Yeah. But like for the good guys.
so he flips and dies.
Yeah.
All right. We're not gonna do the snake. Let's go back to Nick after this one here. I'm gonna say I think somebody in Cassian's crew dies, and his friend. I think Brasso ends up dying.
I'll take the other one. I'll take Bix.
We'll take Bix. Okay. Pete.
I can't remember the name, but the doctor, the
Uh,
scientist that was torturing people.
oh, if I remember, like I'll just like put Dedra's.
It was like one of the random middle arcs, right? I'm thinking of the right show, right? Because I
was
feel like I remember this.
Yeah, it was a guy that Dedra hired to torture Bix on Farrag's information.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll put Dedra's torture doctor.
See if I can look him up here.
He was on, like, I know we mentioned the Dedra episode, so yeah, I think in terms of one more I'm gonna throw out here as a good death candidate here. I'm gonna say that I think Cinta dies. I think they split the Bell and Cinta pair up in some like tragic way.
Let's see. I also think Karn's mom might die.
I think she's gonna live. I think she's living till she's 160. Like in terms of people we actually want to see die, though, like well, I don't think any of us would be mad if Perrin went
No.
or Blevin. All right, so now we got that here. We're gonna do some fun with the character draft here because we had a draft last season. We got no points because we did not believe Tony Gilroy said there were no cameos, and there basically were no cameos. So we have decided to carry over the teams this season. We're gonna also add some new blood to the mix. So give ourselves a chance.
If you think I can come up with three more people, you're out of your mind.
Well, let's start with two. If we have a third, we can do a third. So
All
to
right.
reset the teams, I have Bail Organa, C3PO, and Krennic. So I will be getting on the board as you've seen Krennic in the trailer.
So like we're counting.
Yeah, we're adding to these teams.
I don't agree with this at all, but
We agree. We said before season two we were going to carry this over.
I meant carried over as in carry the thing over, not carry the teams over. That seems ridiculous. Your character's already confirmed to be in the season. He'd be ineligible for a draft.
Well, I think we can let's leave it by ear here because we can also sort of like put it in here because this sort of ends the season one debate then too.
If we have to go back and revisit this at some point, I'm willing to, but I think this is crazy the way we were doing this.
Yeah, you have Palpatine, which Palpatine can very easily show up in this season too.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we were doing a draft and I had the first pick, I was going to take General Graven. Excuse me, General
Raven.
Graven, and I have him, which is nice. But I think we need to redo this draft.
Yeah. So you want to just inherit one player and then just go from there?
I guess. I mean, I think we should redo the draft entirely, but
All right. So do you want to like, for the sake of fairness, you want to just take one player and like we'll just count Krennic as an eligible so you know he's going to show up.
I don't think we should take anyone. Like, I don't think I should get Draven either. I think Draven should be the top pick, but I don't think anyone should get anyone.
How do you feel about this?
I mean, it's a new season. I think that I think it's tough, right? Because I think Krennic is a big one. So I think because of that, like if nothing hit and we didn't know, I would say maybe keep them and we either decide to keep them for the next season or we redraft. And probably this time we should just redraft.
All right. So I'll just delete these off the board. We're not going to count Krennic here. So we want to keep the same order.
Yeah, keep the order. That's fair. I thought we were just carrying over like the 0-0 score, keeping the draft order. I thought two things. One was going to be either we just leave the teams and no one gets anyone else, or two, we would redraft.
Yeah. So you rather just redraft at this point.
We could just leave the teams if the way they were as well. That's also fine.
Yeah, the only issue with that is
Not draft.
I'm off to a big head start because I have Krennic on the team.
Yeah, I know, but you did pick him. I don't want to take that away from you. You did pick him.
How about like we keep the teams and add one person each?
Fair and fine with me.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
All right. So I'm gonna reset these teams that they were in terms of the season here. So I have Bail Organa, C3PO, and Krennic. Nick has Palpatine, General Draven, and Ahsoka. Pete has Jyn Erso, Harrison Dula, Agent Cows. I'll go last since I have no, I'm getting points guaranteed. So Pete, I'll give you first pick here. We'll go reverse order.
Um, Give me Galen or so. If we're gonna be talking about the creation of this weapon and Krennic's involved and all the other people involved, I feel like you're gonna see him at some point, maybe toward the end of the season after they take him, um, in the beginning of Rogue One. And I feel like that's gonna overlap a little bit.
Nick, what do you think?
Um, I'm gonna go with. So, like, can I say Milshi or no?
Melshi would be in the rule basically. Like we know he was in season one, so we wouldn't count him.
Right, but we don't. He's not confirmed for two. So where do we stand on that? We stand on no, right?
No, he already appeared in the show, so we got safe assumption he's gonna be back.
All right. You know what I'll do? I'm stuck between two, but I am gonna go. I feel like this would only be once. So I'm trying to get. I'm gonna go. I'll just do it. I'll say Tarkin.
You're gonna take the deep fake Peter Cushing.
I think we'll get it maybe once. I can't say my other one because you're still picking. Never mind.
Yeah, so I have two in between, and they're both pilots. I'm gonna take the one who's in
Mine was a pilot too.
take the one who's in Rogue One. I'm gonna take Bodhi Rook. I feel like we're gonna have.
That was the one I was deciding between.
I feel like he's somebody where like I think we can set him up and have him show up in the last arc and be like, okay, like
I
Gabe
mean,
he ties with Pete, where Pete Galen sends him. So I think it would be a logical pairing.
Yeah.
they also say in the trailer we need a pilot now.
Yeah.
Am I missing that? Am I like dreaming that?
I don't know. It makes sense. The other one I was thinking about was Wedge because I figure if we get the Mon Mothma Rebel scene, Wedge was there. That was the other option I was thinking about.
I wish I could just take Ahsoka off my team.
Well, I mean, she is tied to the Rebels crew in this timeline, so
I mean, you're right. I mean, it is very possible. You could
especially
also see, there's no Ezra at this point, right? I mean, there is. No, there is.
Ezra's there.
This is prior to. I mean, you might even get Kanan.
Yeah, you could get Kanan.
That would be really, really good idea because it's something that we know he's gonna die soon. You see him real quick.
You get Freddie Prinze Jr. show up for like a day.
That would be really, really cool to see Kanan.
Yeah, it would be cool to see him because I mean, you got that whole. I think like they might stay away from Ezra and Sabine because you got to recast again, have them younger. But I think Kanan would work. That's why I think Hera would also.
That'd be such a cool idea, considering his fate and you know it's coming soon,
But he's there helping out.
and he's there. I guess he'd be blind, right?
Depends when he shows up because I think
He doesn't have to be. Yeah.
if he shows up in the first arc of the season, he doesn't have to be blind.
Yeah, I think they should. I would actually. I should have picked them. I hope they pick. I hope they have them.
Yeah. So unless you guys want to go one more round, I think we can call it.
No, yes, we have some beefy teams here.
Yeah. All right. So we've added to these groups Bodhi Rook, CGI Tarkin, and Galen Urso here. So the stay of Peter Cushing is rooting for Nick Fraietta here.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will see here. And to wrap up the show here, let's do some predictions for the premiere in terms of like what we think will happen in the first arc. Because remember, we're getting four BBY on April 22nd. So Nick, what happens in four BBY?
Unlike season one, where it started off slow, I still loved
Yep.
the beginning, very intense. I don't think we have time to start off slow. If you look at the trailer, it's just nonstop awesomeness. I think we're starting right away with the Gorman Massacre.
They give the Gorham Massacre at the gate.
Out of the gate, opening scene. No, I don't know about that. I'm just kidding. Right away. I really think it's gonna be right away because it gives us a conflict right away. Similar to every movie or you've ever seen, where the opening scene, something bad happens. In the Dark Knight, they're on a bank, and then Avengers, he kills Loki. It's just something right away. Get the bad guys going. Give the good guys a reason to fight right away.
All right, so Nick's calling the Gorham Massacre. So I'm gonna go ahead here. I will throw out two things. I think we get the wedding next week. I think we get the Mon Mothma's daughter marrying Davos' son. I think that comes here. I think they blow up the building. I think that shot of the building being blown up is from this arc. So I'm gonna go that the building in the trail gets blown up here. And Pete, how about you?
I think we get K2SO shoving that guy off the bridge. No, I think it starts slow again. I don't think we're getting right into a battle. I think we're going to get a there's gonna be action, but I don't think it's gonna be as impactful as we think. I think the first arc. Are we talking about first episode or first arc?
What the entirety of what we're gonna get? This is the first arc.
So I think we're gonna have probably the Gore Massacre as well. I think that maybe we'll get introduced to one of our characters from our character draft also in that first season, first arc to establish them to come back. But I don't really have any prediction that's really that far off from you two.
Yeah. I just think for me, I feel like the building shot is just too obvious. I feel like we're gonna get that like immediately. That might be like what we get in the very first episode, Nick. It's like the first time we see Cassie and he and Bix are blowing up that building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, I think that the wedding is going to lead to the massacre. So I guess you can throw the wedding in mine as well.
Yeah.
Like I think the wedding is going to be on Gorman.
Okay. You're gonna be there somewhere else, like on the play while the people are getting massacred.
Yes,
Okay.
or perhaps at the same time and not at a different location. Like I think it will start with both the wedding and the massacre as being like intertwined in a way.
All right, so I think that's it for our preview here this week. So I just want to let everybody know here, like we're gonna do the best we can to watch these, like and get the pods to you as quickly as possible. But this is not our primary job, and we're getting a late start at 9 Eastern, which again is better than 3 in the morning. But like as Tony Gilroy said, like it's basically watching a full movie every Tuesday night for a month.
Which is awesome. Can't wait.
It'll be fun, but like if the pod comes Thursday, don't be surprised. It might. We're gonna try best we can, but odds are I think Thursday's the safest bet. We'll get these episodes out.
Yeah. The only negative of this release model is for podcasting.
Yeah, yeah. I know Tony Gilroy also shouted us out. Pete. He said I feel bad for the podcast because it's tough work for them.
If I recall, he said, I feel bad for the Sky Guys.
He did say that.
Name drop.
Yeah, he mentioned us by name, so that's cool.
Yeah, we know he's an active listener.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week as we talk about at the top of the show. We're gonna go back and revisit One Way Out, which is infamously the one episode of Andor Pete could not make the podcast live. So we'll get the make up for that. That's the week next week.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. So once again, I'm excited to get you guys coming on here. Really appreciate it. Pete, people I'll follow you on social media. How can I do that?
At Consi29 on Twitter, CONSY, Tyler 308 created the background music, so make sure you check them out on Reddit.
Yep. Nick, one more time. People I'll follow us on social media. How can I do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast, pretty much everywhere, and at Sky Guys Pod at gmail.com if you want to email the pod.
Yep. You can also follow me on social media at mphillips331. That's MPHILIPS 331. We should go over the Justin the Suffering podcast. Got a couple episodes planned for you here. We're going to get ready for the Masters here. We're gonna have an episode out. That's gonna be out by the time you guys hear this. And we're also gonna wrap up our March Madness coverage here. So Nick, who you got winning the Final Four?
I had Florida at the beginning, so I'll stick with it.
Yeah, I had Florida over Duke at the game. Not much else went right in the Final Four for me.
I got three of the four, and the last one that I didn't have was Michigan State. I just missed getting all four.
Yeah, it was better than me. I lost one of my Final Four teams on day one.
Not good, not good. But yeah, I would have Michigan State made the Final Four, and then Florida ended up beating Duke. I would have won your bracket pool.
Yeah, well, we'll see who's going to win that pool like and off the air, but we'll be back next week to cover, the One Way Out, revisit the episode we have said is the pinnacle of live action Star Wars content. We'll take a look at that. But until then, may the Force be with you.